if you walk outside and you look at a shape of a rock, you know, that's a real rock, and yet the shape becomes, once you draw it, or once you paint it, it starts looking abstract. This becomes almost like a seesaw of, oh, it's abstract, it's real, it's abstract, it's real. I mean, whichever goes up and down. I mean, I think so many things that people call abstract really are real. And the things that people call real are very abstract. You know, so I'm using this as almost as a way just to communicate something, but you can really kind of delve in and start ripping it apart and finding out that these are much realer. The paintings I'm doing right now that are not here, these shapes that look like kind of just arbitrary shapes are really a contour of the rocks that exist in my garden, and they're very real. You know, I mean, they're specific. You know, it's a specific shape. And yet someone would tell me that this was an abstract painting, and they probably are right to some degree, you know. So those are kind of hard terms to really nail down.
Abstraction in general is that way. And Sally kind of talked about it a little bit, it's more real than a realist painting, because it's not trying to represent anything but itself. Whereas if I was painting a landscape, that's taking the attention away from the paint and from the canvas and trying to build a story of some kind. And there's a story here, but the story is pretty obvious. The story is, for me, it's the process. There are layers that are foreground, background, however you want to describe that, but it's there. It's nothing that's an allusion to something else.
There's certain things in the environment that I have a response to, and that is really the subject for my work, is that response that I have, and it's very fragmented. There's not one simple way that I put a picture together. The coming of Freud and psychoanalysis, all these new elements came into art. At one time, it was to represent, to the best of your ability, what you see. I mean, realistic paintings were about what you see. They were always altered in a way, in a romantic way in some cases. But now, in a contemporary world, that no longer is a subject matter that is, especially for abstractionists. They look at things often in very, very complex ways and come to their images with maybe a feeling, maybe a visual idea, and maybe just a way of applying the paint.
This is where collage begins with synthetic cubism, and it's really about 1912 and 1913. But we live in a world right now of cut and paste. You know, the computer has turned us into cut and paste people, and that cut and paste is collage again. And we understand our minds are so extraordinarily visually sophisticated. We can sit and watch a program for an hour, watch Law and Order, right? And it cuts in that you start having, what, 3 minutes, 4 minutes? It feels like 4 hours worth of commercials. I mean, it goes from cars to your mortgage, to your feminine needs, to all kinds of things, and then it goes back to the story. And we all get it, and we all get it really, really quickly, and we really understand that. You can take that same program and take it to remote parts of the world, and they wouldn't understand any of it. But we are so used to visually understanding so much information and sorting things out and making sense of them. And that's what this kind of collage is doing. Even this whole entire show, I mean, this whole work the whole show could look like one big collage in some ways, because none of it is all the same. And yet we start making sense of one piece to the next and finding commonality in all the work.
Hopefully by continuing to have these exhibitions, there'll be some criticism and evaluation on many different levels, so that people can better understand and comment on what they see as the experience. And that's really the value of constructs. It's to start a dialogue with, between the artists, between the public, and between the scholars, so that we can have a bigger idea and a more complex idea of what this work is about.